And then the author, Shaykh al-Islam, he moves on to the second level here, or this edition of Shaykh al-Fawzan, brings a small heading, Al-Martabatu Thaniya Al-Eemaan, Ta'rif Al-Eemaan. At the second level of the religion of Islam is, first level being Islam, the second level being Al-Eemaan, the level of Eemaan. The definition, firstly, the definition of Eemaan. What is Eemaan? The definition of Eemaan. And there comes the saying of the author, Shaykh al-Islam, Al-Martabatu Thaniyatu Al-Eemaan, وهو بضع وسبعون شعبة فأعلاها قول لا إله إلا الله وأدناها إماطة الأذى عن الطريق والحياء شعبة من الإيمان. He said the second level is Al-Eemaan, true faith, Eemaan. And it has 70 and odd branches. The highest of them is the saying of La ilaha illallah, none has the right to be worshipped except Allah. And the lowest of them is removal of that which is harmful from the path. And al-haya, a sense of shame, is a branch of Eemaan. In explanation, Shaykh al-Fawzan said, so Eemaan is more general or more inclusive than Islam. What the Shaykh is indicating here is meaning that Eemaan has more things within it. That Islam has the 5 pillars, whereas Eemaan, it has more. Obviously, as we saw in nation, Eemaan is of 17 odd branches. So Shaykh begins by saying, so Eemaan is more general, or is more inclusive than Islam. So every believer, every mu'min is a Muslim. But not every Muslim is a mu'min, is a believer. I mean, indicating that Eemaan is, as we've just seen, the first level is Islam. Then Eemaan is a higher level. Eemaan is something higher, a higher level. So not every Muslim, not everyone who has entered into Islam has reached the level of Eemaan. Not everyone. Whereas the opposite, every mu'min, everyone who has reached the level of Eemaan, then he is a Muslim. He has to be a Muslim. So Shaykh said, so every mu'min, every person of Eemaan, he is a Muslim. But not every Muslim is a mu'min, person of Eemaan. So Eemaan is more general or inclusive with respect to itself. It includes more things. Eemaan includes more things. And it is more specific with regard to its people. And what the Shaykh is indicating is that Eemaan, with regard to itself as a thing, is wider, because it includes more things, 17 odd branches, whereas Islam is the 5 pillars. But with regard to the people, then the people of Eemaan are less, they are fewer than the people of Islam. Eemaan is something more specific and higher. Then the Shaykh defines Eemaan. What is Eemaan? He said, and al-Eemaan, is translated here as true faith, but as we'll see in true faith, as we'll see, including 3 things. The Shaykh said, and Eemaan in the language is at-tasdeeq, to believe. At-tasdeeq, to believe, or to attest with the heart. In the Arabic language, the word Eemaan, it means at-tasdeeq, to believe something. To believe or to attest with the heart. Then he gives some evidence for that this is the meaning of the language. He said, He the Most High said upon the tongue of the brothers of Yusuf, وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ. Surah Yusuf, the 12th surah, ayah 17. Obviously the ayah from Surah Yusuf being in the context that when the brothers of Yusuf had taken Yusuf away, stolen him away, thrown him in the well, then they came back to their father with a false story, and they said, وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ. The Shaykh said, meaning, you won't believe us. You won't believe us. I mean, that's the language meaning, meaning it's just to believe something. I mean, when we tell you our story, you won't believe what we're saying. Then the Shaykh said, as for Eemaan in the legislation, meaning Islamic legislated meaning of Eemaan, then it is, as is explained by the people of the Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, it is, Eemaan is, قول باللسان واعتقاد بالقلب وعمل بالجوارح يزيد بالطاعة وينقص بالمعصية. That Eemaan with the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah is speech of the tongue and belief of the heart and action of the limbs. It increases with obedience and it decreases through sin. It's an extremely important definition. The correct definition of Eemaan, this matter where so many deviant sects have gone astray, and the people of the Sunnah are upon the truth with regard to this matter, that Eemaan is speech of the tongue, belief of the heart, and action of the limbs. It increases through obedience and it decreases through sin. Shaykh al-Fawzan said, and it is, with this explanation, a reality relating to the legislation, a haqiqa shar'iyya. I mean, that Eemaan, as we've seen, Eemaan has a meaning in Arabic language. When it's used in Arabic language terms, it has a meaning. What we're dealing with here and now is the meaning of Eemaan in the Islamic legislation, in the texts of Islam. He said, it is here a reality relating to the legislation. Because the realities, and this is the point that we had before in the Lum'ah, explanation of Lum'ah al-I'tiqad, because realities are three. Haqiqatun lughawiyya, a reality which relates to the language, and haqiqatun shar'iyya, and a reality with regard to the legislation, and haqiqatun urfiyya, and a reality relating to custom, people's custom. So the explanation of Eemaan with this explanation is haqiqatun shar'iyya, is a reality relating to the legislation. So Eemaan moves from the language meaning to the meaning in the Islamic legislation. And the reason why this is a critically important point, the side point here, then Shaykh al-Fawzan is making this, stressing this point, because many deviant sects, or a number of famous deviant sects, they keep the language meaning to explain what Eemaan is in the legislation. So whenever they find the word Eemaan, even in the texts of Islam, in the words of the scholars, they explain it just with the language meaning. So it just means belief in the heart. And this is a mistake. This is an error and it's a mistake. And it's a serious error. So the Shaykh is pointing it out. No doubt there is a language meaning, but there is also a meaning in the legislation, which is what we've heard there. Then Shaykh Fawzan said, reiterating, so Eemaan is speech upon the tongue. There has to be speech and acknowledgement with the tongue, and belief in the heart. The person must, when he speaks upon his tongue, be believing it in his heart. Otherwise, he will be just like the hypocrites, the munafiqeen, those who يَقُولُونَ بِأَلْسِنَتِهِمْ مَا لَيْسَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ. Surah Al-Fath, 48th Surah, Ayah 11. With the explanation, they say with their tongues that which is not in their hearts. And so a person who states Eemaan upon his tongue, he must have it in his heart as well. It must be in his heart and upon his tongue. If it's just upon his tongue but not in his heart, then he'll be like the hypocrites, as occurs in that ayah. Then Shaykh al-Fawzan said, and speech upon the tongue and belief in the heart will not suffice. Rather, there must be action upon the limbs also. Carrying out the obligatory duties is essential, and avoiding the prohibitions. So the person does the acts of obedience and he avoids the forbidden acts. All of this is from Eemaan. And with this definition, it comprises the whole of the deen, the whole of the religion. Eemaan, when it's defined in that way, Eemaan, what does it cover? Belief of the heart, speech of the tongue, action of the limbs. Or summarized in a different way, doing all the acts of obedience to Allah and avoiding all the prohibited things. When Eemaan is explained in that way, of course, it comprises the whole of the religion. Because the whole of religion falls into that. Either being beliefs of the heart, speech of the tongue, or actions of the limbs. Or in another sense, all of the religion being doing actions of obedience to Allah and keeping away from that which is being forbidden. Then Shaykh said, however, these acts of obedience and these many legislated duties, some of them are a part of the reality of Eemaan, and some of them are things which are a completion of Eemaan. This is the point that the Shaykh is mentioning, and there's a side point in the refutation of the like of the Khawarij and the Mu'tazila. The Shaykh is making the point here that these many duties, many acts of obedience to Allah, and many legislated duties, some of them are a part of the reality of Eemaan, meaning they're an essential part of Eemaan. Essential. Can't be done without. And some of them, some of these acts of obedience and duties, some of them are matters of completion of Eemaan. Some of them are essential to Eemaan, and some of them are a completion of it. Then he said, and Eemaan has pillars, and it has branches. It has arkan, pillars, and it has shu'ab, it has branches. And the Prophet ﷺ explained them in 2 hadith. The pillars and branches of Eemaan he explained in 2 hadith. He explained the pillars, the arkan of Eemaan, in the hadith of Jibreel. And he explained the branches of Eemaan in the hadith al-Eemanu bid'un wa sab'una shu'bah. That Eemaan is of 70 and odd branches. And that will follow, insha'Allah. Then Shaykh Fawzan mentions another important point and says, and Eemaan and Islam, if they are mentioned together, then each of them has its own meaning. I mean, if we find a text where both of them are mentioned, Eemaan and Islam, an ayah or a hadith, Eemaan is mentioned and Islam is mentioned together, both of them mentioned in the same ayah or same hadith, they're mentioned, both. Then, in that case, each of them has a separate, specific meaning. Each with its own meaning. Obviously, this will Shaykh made clear, meaning, in that case, Eemaan referring to the inner belief, the beliefs, the inner matters, and Islam referring to the outer matters. Then he said, and when only one of them is mentioned, then it enters along with the other. If we have a text which just mentions Islam, then automatically it means Eemaan as well. If we have a text that mentions Eemaan, then automatically it covers the meaning of Islam as well. So if they are mentioned together, we have a text where Eemaan is mentioned and also Islam is mentioned. If they are mentioned together, then in that case, Islam is explained to be the outward actions. And they are the pillars of Islam, the 5 pillars of Islam. And Eemaan, in that case, is explained to be the inward actions, which are the 6 pillars. And their place is the heart. And the 6 pillars of Eemaan, as will follow, Eemaan in Allah, Eemaan in His angels, to the end. If those two things come together in the text, both are mentioned, Islam, Eemaan, and Islam means the outward 5 pillars. And Eemaan means the inward, the 6 pillars of Eemaan, the 6 pillars of belief. Eemaan in Allah, in His angels, in His books, in the messengers, and to the end. And all of these must be found together in the Muslim. With all the 5 pillars of Islam and all the 6 pillars of Eemaan, all of them must be found together in a Muslim. The Muslim must be one who is a believer, one who has Eemaan, who establishes the pillars of Islam and he establishes the pillars of Eemaan. He must gather all of them. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Al-Iman bid'un wa sab'una shu'bah, aw bid'un wa sittuna shu'bah. He said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Iman is of 70 and odd branches, or 60 and odd branches. There are two narrations. The two narrations from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One mentions Iman is 60 and odd branches, one mentions Iman is 70 and odd branches. In the footnote they say, Al-Bukhari reports this as hadith number 9 with the wording that it is 60 and odd. And Muslim reports it as hadith number 35 with both wordings, 60 odd and 70 odd. As a hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Then Shaykh Fawzan goes on to explain this hadith of the branches of Iman. He said, he's saying bid'un. He said, 60 and odd or 70 and odd, this word odd, bid'un, this number that's in between. 60 and something or 70 and something. This word bid'un, he said, bid' is a number between 3 and 9. So if it is said bid'ata ashar, 10 and odd, 10 and some number in between, then it means a number between 13 until 19. And if it is said bid'un on its own, it means something between 3 and 9. It's an unstated number in that region. Bid'un is an unstated number between 3 and 9. Or if you said bid'ata ashar, 10 and odd, is some unstated number between 13 and 19. He said, he's saying shu'batan, branches. Then a shu'bah is a part of the thing. Meaning that the pillars have 70 and odd parts or sections. The pillars of Iman have 70 and odd parts or sections. He's saying ilaaha, the highest one of them. He said, meaning the highest of these branches, the highest of the branches of Iman is the saying La ilaha illAllaah, none has the right to be worshipped except Allah. It is the head of Islam, and it is the head of Iman, and it is the first pillar, and it is madkhaluddin, it is the entry point into the religion. He's saying adnaha, and the lowest one of them. He said, meaning the last of them and the least one of them. He's saying imatatul adha and tariq, removing that which is harmful from the path. Shaykh said, meaning removing that which is harmful from the path which is proceeded upon, path which is walked upon. And al-adha, that which is harmful, is everything which causes harm to the people, whether it be thorns or rocks or filthy things or refuse. Everything which causes harm to the people upon their path. And placing al-adha, placing that which is harmful upon the path is muharram, is forbidden. Because the path is for those who wish to walk upon it, those who wish to proceed upon it. And harm impedes those who want to proceed and puts them in danger. Such as stopping his car upon the road. This is from harm. Which reminds me of an incident that happened yesterday, but anyway. Such as stopping his car in the road. This is from causing harm al-adha. And letting water flow out from the house onto the path. This is from harm. And putting rubbish upon the pathway. This is from al-adha, from causing harm. Whether it be upon the road, in the town, or in the countryside. Placing a rock, placing pieces of timber, placing iron upon the pathways of the people. Digging holes in the roads of the people. All of this is from al-adha, causing harm. So if a Muslim comes and removes this harm and clears the path of it, then this is a proof for his Eemaan. So placing that which is harmful upon the path is from the branches of kufr, from the branches of unbelief. And removing harm from the path is from the branches of Eemaan, true faith. He said, and he's saying, وَالْحَيَاءُ شُعْبَةٌ مِّنَ الْإِيمَانِ, and al-haya, true sense of shame, is a branch of Eemaan. Shaykh al-Fawzan explains, al-haya, sense of shame, is a characteristic which Allah places in a person, which leads him to carry out whatever will beautify and adorn him, and which prevents him from things which will contaminate and disfigure him. And al-haya, sense of shame, which leads a person to perform that which is good and to withhold from that which is evil. This is praiseworthy. It's a characteristic, a sense, feeling, a sense. If it leads him, the sense of shame leads him to do good things and leads him and keeps him away from doing evil things, then it's something praiseworthy. But as for shame or shyness, which prevents a person from doing something good and from seeking knowledge and from asking about things which are a problem to his understanding, then this is blameworthy haya, this is blameworthy shyness, because it is khajal, it is blameworthy embarrassment. I made the distinction between haya, is correct and true haya, that is that which leads a person to do good things and keeps him away from doing evil things, then that's something praiseworthy and good. But if it's haya, this shame or embarrassment that prevents him from good, such as seeking knowledge, asking about what is a problem for him, seeking knowledge, then it's something blameworthy. Because this is khajal. So unnecessary, blameworthy embarrassment. Then the Shaykh said, and the pillars of Eemaan are many, as you have come to know. They are 70 and odd. And the Imam al-Bayhaqi wrote a large work, in which he mentioned the Shu'ab al-Iman, in which he mentioned the pillars of Eemaan, rather in which he mentioned the branches of Eemaan. And it has an abridgment which has been printed. And the large work, as a side point, the large work of al-Bayhaqi, Shu'ab al-Iman, is a work in 11 volumes, containing around 11,000 narrations, 11,000 hadith narrations. As for the abridgment, then it's just a small paperback. The abridgment of Shu'ab al-Iman, just one small paperback. Then the Shaykh said, and from the proofs of the ulama, of the scholars, that Eemaan is speech upon the tongue, and belief in the heart, and action upon the limbs, is, from their proofs, for the scholars to say that, is, he's saying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in this hadith here, he's saying, ilaaha, la ilaha illAllaah. The highest of them is la ilaha illAllaah. None has the right to be worshipped except Allah. The Shaykh said this is a proof for sayings. Because this is a saying. So that's a proof that this is the hadith of the branches of Eemaan. So that's a proof that sayings are a part of Eemaan. And he's saying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, adnaha imatatul adha an tariq. And he's saying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, removal of that which is harmful from the path. This is an action. It proves that actions are from Eemaan. And he's saying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-haya'u shu'batun min al-Iman, that sense of shame is a branch of Eemaan. This is something in the heart. Al-haya, sense of shame, is in the heart. Obviously it's a matter, if a person has a sense of shame in his heart, then it has an effect upon his limbs. But the actual sense of shame is something in his heart. So this is a proof, the Shaykh said, that Eemaan is sayings upon the tongue, and belief in the heart, and action upon the limbs.